Hello, everybody. I'm Skip Elsheimer, and welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show. I'm back. Happy to be back. Almost done with this medical thing that's going on. Tomorrow, by this time, I'll be clear. It'll be great. So excited. Anyways, apologize for apologize. Monday's Balloon Fest was actually, for me, fascinating to watch because we have so much diverse balloon footage. It was really all over the place, and I saw stuff that in films I haven't seen before. So I'm trying to hunt down the films to figure out where they came from. These were all sourced from our stock footage site, and they were all tagged by people and include films that I haven't seen and we haven't shown. So that was kind of exciting. Then yesterday, I hadn't slept well, so I basically showed a film about sleeping, and then a bunch of NyQuil commercials, early NyQuil commercials, the glorious narcotic that nursed us through nights of flu and colds. Let's see. So we've got set up. It is Black History Month, and so I've been trying to show archival films that talk about historical significance in Black culture and contributions. This one is called Henry Brown Farmer, and it's made, I believe, during the war effort. Excuse me. Anyways, enjoy.
These are Americans on their way to the battlefronts of democracy, fighting men, dedicating their lives to securing a better world for all, soldiers of America. But we have another army, the men in plants and factories producing weapons for our fighting forces in an ever-growing flood, our soldiers of production. And behind all these stand the broad, rich acres of America, and the men who grow our food, produce vital raw materials, and give their sons that this land may remain free. This is the story of one such American farmer. This is Farmer Henry Brown, age 38, father of 3 children, farming 40 acres. This year, Henry Brown is growing more on his farm than ever before. And to get their work done, these fine summer days, he and his family have to be up with the sun. This is young Henry doing the milking. This year, for the first time, they have a cow, and young Henry is raising the calf as his own. This is going to be the best calf in the county. Milk for breakfast, and eggs too. Sister's raising 20 hens, most all good layers. Those that aren't good layers will make good eaters, she says. Last year there was just the same old cornbread and fat pack for breakfast. Filled you up all right, but didn't really build strong, healthy bodies. Young Henry grows like Johnson grass, but even so, he's already begun to fill out. Father's got plenty to do today. Not that every farmer doesn't always have plenty of work, but this year it's different. Different because this year it isn't just cotton and corn. The government man said we needed more fats and oils to make up for what the Japs got. So Farmer Brown thought if peanuts were really needed, he'd try 15 acres of them. Sort of figured, too, it would be good for a man to try his hand at a new kind of crop. Yes, a good farmer with respect for his land and the job it has to do. Last fall, he put lime and phosphate on 20 acres of the poorest part of his farm. And now both he and his country will benefit from the better crop he'll harvest. If the weather holds, Henry figures on making a really fine crop of peanuts. Before going out to help with the cotton chopping, Mother tends her garden a bit. There's not much here that will be sold, but there's a lot here that will be eaten this summer, and some that's going to be put away for next winter. No, sir, the Browns won't be depending on a grocery store. They'll leave canned things for people in cities who just can't grow their own vegetables. Sister's a pretty good farmer, too. She certainly works hard tending her chickens. Must be worth the trouble, though, because she's got a mighty healthy flock. Acres of land. Not particularly good land either. A barn that isn't big or even new. And no tractor. Just a team of mules, an understanding of the earth and things that grow, and long hours of hard work for everyone. Doesn't seem like much, but these are the sort of things that make a farmer. Like putting a new board on the barn when it's needed, and saving those burlap fertilizer bags last fall. Now we need them badly, and we're glad they weren't thrown away. And because his farm machinery was greased and put under cover when not in use, it will probably last for the duration. And that's important. Because as long as our factories are turning out tanks and guns, we just have to make everything last. Even the land. Oh, yes, the land can be wasted. If Farmer Brown hadn't planted those peanuts in rows following the contours of the slope, rain could wash away both his crop and his land. And right now, this land of Farmer Brown and all the other farmers is mighty important to our country, because we need more peanuts for oil, more long staple cotton, more food. So it's up to everyone to make the most of every acre of land and every bushel of seed that goes into it. Saturday afternoon. And of course, this is the day farmers go to town. Sister sells some eggs, and Mother and Father market and like to visit with friends. But even so, it's rather early. This must be something special today. Aren't they going to stop? Well, they're going right on through town. What's this all about? What's got Sister so excited? Well, no wonder they didn't stop in town. No wonder those young'uns are excited. It's a visit to Big Brother, who's a cadet training with the 99th Pursuit Squadron. This is something special, all right. Why, maybe there'll even be a chance to watch him fly. Farmer Brown and his wife are mighty proud of their son, and so are we. But we're also proud of Farmer Brown. Proud of him because he's doing his job, an important job, raising more livestock, saving his land, and growing more of the things we need. And proud of him just for being an American that we can count on, at a time when every American has an important job to do.
Just kind of ends. Sorry. Mid-sandwich. Fascinating. No, I'll say more about when after this next film. This is Animals and How They Communicate.
Can animals talk? We know they can't speak as we do, but they can express their feelings in many ways. The mother horse whinnies, and the colt follows. The mare has communicated something to the colt by the sound of her voice. Animals also communicate by their actions. Didn't that seem to mean, get up? A lamb can communicate with its voice, too. That's a call for mother. Sounds help an animal communicate with others of its kind. Different sounds seem to mean different things. The clucking of this flock is not the same as the excited clucking of this mother hen, as she calls her chicks. Do animals know what they are communicating? We cannot be sure, but we do know that animals can't survive unless they find food, keep track of their young, and warn one another of danger. And communication helps them do these things. Even as it looks for food, this meadowlark is alert for danger. That sound is the call of another meadowlark nearby. It is not a warning sound. But a nervous flicking of the tail is a warning, a signal that danger is near. This flashing of the tail may be seen by the bird's mate, which also flies away. The male red-winged blackbird sings to warn other males away from the territory he is claiming for himself and for his plain-colored mate. The song of the male warns other birds that this is the place this pair has selected to raise their family. Nesting and raising a family is one of the most important activities in the lives of birds. While this female killdeer sits on her nest, the male stays nearby, alert for danger. Enemies must be kept away from the eggs and from the young birds. Communication is one help in the everyday struggle to stay alive, to survive. The parent bird calls, and the chicks answer. But if an enemy gets too close, the mother bird puts on a remarkable act. She pretends to have a broken wing. This is an unusual kind of communication. Her fluttering seems to show that she would be easy to catch. An enemy would very likely follow, trying to seize her, and all the while she leads him farther and farther away from her nest and young, leaving them safe from danger. At a sign of danger, crows give an alarm call. Other crows respond as they see the enemy, a hawk. Hearing the alarm calls of the crows, blackbirds and other birds join the chase to attack the hawk. The hawk is finally driven off. The honking of Canada geese in flight has a different purpose. It is believed that the big birds communicate with one another so that they do not become separated. The honking helps them keep the beautiful formation they follow during their long migration. The honking geese may fly over a quiet forest stream where beavers live. Beavers are quiet animals and can move through the water without making a sound. But watch this one use his tail to give a danger signal. At the sound, other beavers in the pond dive for safety. A relative of the beaver, the prairie dog, also uses its tail to communicate. A squeaky little bark and a flicking tail mean danger. The signals are heard and seen by other prairie dogs that duck into their burrow for safety. Another animal of the plains is the pronghorn antelope. These antelope usually live in herds. When alarmed, they run and display two white rump patches. These white patches of hair can be seen far across the plains. When other antelope see the signal, they also flash their white tail signals as they run for safety. The safety of the group is important to social animals like bees. The survival of the bees in the hive depends on communication in finding food, rearing the young, and avoiding enemies. One means of communication is by the familiar buzzing made by the wings. Bees can change the pitch of the buzzing. For instance, if the buzzing at the entrance to the hive becomes very loud, the bees inside seem to know that an enemy is near. Sometimes a bee enters the hive and brings a special message. It is one of the most remarkable examples of animal communication. Watch the bee in the center. She is doing what is called the bee dance. Her little circling motions mean that she has found nectar. It is believed that by her wriggling dance, she can even show how far and in what direction the nectar is from the hive. As soon as the other bees get the message, they will leave to find the nectar. Ants are social insects too, but as far as we know, do not communicate by sounds. When they find food or have other information to relate, it appears that they communicate by touching or stroking their sensitive feelers or antennae. So, by the sense of touch, a message is carried from one ant to another. Certain grasshoppers communicate by rubbing the edges of their wings together. Watch the wing action. Like many insects, the male grasshopper uses communication to find a mate. The booming sound of this male grouse is also used to attract a mate. The female grouse goes about quietly. To attract her attention, the male puts on a spectacular show. This is an example of courtship display. If another male comes near, the grouse will strut off and try to drive him away. All these actions and sounds are a kind of communication among both males and females as they go through courtship on the prairies in the spring. Certain water birds, too, go through unusual actions during courtship. These large diving birds, western grebes, do a water dance in the spring. Here, a male and a female do a kind of water ballet. All this is a kind of communication. In this way, the birds find mates, which makes possible new families. Among the domestic birds that put on courtship displays is the peacock. As in most species of birds, the female is usually quiet, but the male peacock puts on a splendid show, giving his call and spreading his huge tail like a fan of jewel-like colors. The male's actions finally begin to attract his mate. Eventually, the female will build a nest, and the pair will have a family. In rearing the young, finding food, and warning one another of danger, these birds will communicate in different ways, ways that we have seen help animals to survive.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, so that previous film, Harry Brown Farmer, was narrated by Canada Lee, who was a popular black actor who did some performances with Orson Welles' theater troupe. I think he was in Native Son, and kind of influenced a whole generation of black actors. And of course, he was blacklisted as a communist, and unfortunately died before he was able to do a hearing to try to clear his name. But, interesting film, and, history. Oh, history. All right, so behind me, see, I'm all out of practice here. I have a film scanner set up, and so we're going to watch a film. This is part of a series by BFA about music, and they have all different types of films about music, and this one's called Discovery of Melody and Harmony. Enjoy.
Thank you, Mike and Susan. The songs that we have just sung from early America will help us understand many new things about music. One important part of music is the melody. Who can sing the first part of the melody of Johnny Has Gone for a Soldier? William? William, I'll give you the beginning note. There I sat on Buttermilk Hill. Good. William just sang the beginning of Johnny Has Gone for a Soldier. And this is what the notes look like. He just sang. Melody moves in repeats, steps, and skips. Listen as I play. repeats, steps, and skips. See if you can hear these repeats, steps, and skips as I play the beginning of the melody. Today we're going to use the repeated notes on a spinning song singing boom da boom da. You sing with me. Boom da boom da boom da boom da boom da boom da boom da. Very good. The sound of the boom da boom das in the song represent the sound of the pedal moving the spinning wheel. Boom da boom da boom da boom da boom da boom da boom da. The nonsense words that you will sing are nonsense words that the women sang while they worked at the spinning wheel. Now sing the boom da boom da boom da as I sing the melody of Sarah Sponda. Boom da 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 boom da. Very good. Now, let's take a look at the melody of Sarah Sponda. Notice that this melody, like Johnny Has Gone for a Soldier, also moves in steps, skips, and repeats. Who can find the repeated notes? Debbie?
On the Sponda sa.
Sponda and the beginning of Sarah. Good. And how do these notes move? Kenny?
Skips.
Good, Kenny. Here the notes move in skips, and here they move in steps. Be sure to notice the repeat sign. That tells us to go back and sing it again. Let's all sing the beginning of Sarah Sponda together.
Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda, red, red, red. Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda, red, red, red.
Very good. Now, a few minutes ago, you added a note when I sang the melody to make the sound of the pedal for the spinning wheel. Here we have the added notes of the boom da with the melody. What are the notes of the boom da doing? Danny?
They're repeating.
They're repeating. Good. Who would like to come up and play the repeated notes on the bells? Mike? Show us how you would play this note. Mike, you play the repeated note while the class sings the melody.
Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda, red, red, red. Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda, red, red, red.
Good, Mike. Mike has just added something new to our melody. Remember, when we add other notes to the melody, we call this harmony. Remember that melody moves in steps, skips, and repeats. Harmony also moves in steps, skips, and repeats. Now let's sing the melody and harmony and listen to how they sound together. You, let's see, Susan, Terry, Danny, Kenny, and Larry sing on the boom da, and the rest of us will sing the melody, singing Sarah Sponda.
Boom da, boom da, boom da, boom da, boom da. Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda, red, red, red. Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda, Sarah Sponda, red, red, red.
The kind of harmony that you just sang is called a descant. A descant can be repeated notes such as you just sang on the boom da, or an added melody above or below the main melody. We're also in the same song going to add another kind of harmony, a more difficult kind. And this kind of harmony is going to be like the wheel. The first kind was like the pedal. This kind is going to be like the wheel. It's going to go from low to high, down to low, to high, and back down to low again, just like the turning of a spinning wheel. The melody, like the harmony, also moves up and down. Let's look at the melody. Notice the way the melody skips from low to high and moves down to low to high and back down to low again, just the way the spinning wheel moves. Now I'll sing the melody and show you how it moves with my hand. A, do, re, o, a, do, re, boom, de, o, a, do, re, boom, de, re, set, set, a, se, pa, se, o. Now you sing the melody with me and show me how the melody moves with your hands.
A, do, re, o, a, do, re, boom, de, o, a, do, re, boom, de, re, set, set, a, se, pa, se, o.
Notice the other notes with the melody. Remember, added notes to the melody are called, Marita?
Harmony.
Harmony, right. This kind of harmony is called thirds. When we go from a space to a line to a space, we count 1, 2, 3. That is a third. Let me play a third on the bells for you. Let's make the sound of a third. Harmony singers sing. Melody singers. Good. Notice how the harmony moves in the same direction as the melody. Much of the harmony is in thirds. 1, 2, 3. And notice that these two notes, here, all the way across, they're the same space, aren't they? So they're all thirds. They all move in the same direction, don't they? Until we get here. And then what happens to the harmony? Something you've already learned about in harmony, as well as melody. Mike?
The repeat.
Yes, the repeat. So once we find that note, we just stay there until we finally move back up. Now, follow along as I sing the harmony for you. A, do, re, o, a, do, re, boom, de, o, a, do, re, boom, de, re, set, set, a, se, pa, se, o. Now you sing it with me.
A, do, re, o, a, do, re, boom, de, o, a, do, re, boom, de, re, set, set, a, se, pa, se, o.
Very good. Does anybody notice what we do here on this part of the song? Something that we did on the beginning of the song. Sign that tells us to do something. Christine?
Repeat.
Repeat. At the very end, we have a repeat sign, and that means go back until we see a repeat sign going in the other direction. And here it is. Now let's sing the melody and harmony together. Then we'll go back and sing it a second time because of the repeat sign. Harmony singers, here are your first two notes. And melody singers.
A, do, re, o, a, do, re, boom, de, o, a, do, re, boom, de, re, set, set, a, se, pa, se, o. A, do, re, o, a, do, re, boom, de, o, a, do, re, boom, de, re, set, set, a, se, pa, se, o.
Good. Now let's sing this song from the very beginning with a sarasvanda sung by the melody singers. and the sound of the spinning wheel going boom-da, boom-da. And those people that are singing the sound of the spinning wheel will go right on with the harmony, and the people singing the melody will go right on with the melody. Are you all ready? Starting out with the boom-da. Very good. Now let's look at the notes of another song from early America. One that we already know, When Johnny Comes Marching Home. Here are the notes of the melody of When Johnny Comes Marching Home. Let's see if we can remember some of the things we have learned about melody today. Who can tell us how these notes move? Terry?
In repeat.
Repeats, right. How do these notes move? Larry?
Skips.
Skips, very good. And how do these notes move?
Susan? Steps.
By step. Good. Remember that the notes of the melody move by repeats, skips, and steps. Now let's sing the melody of When Johnny Comes Marching Home.
When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah, we'll give him a hearty welcome then, hurrah, hurrah. The men will cheer, the boys will shout, the ladies say, we'll all tune out and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home.
How did I add the harmony while you sang the melody of When Johnny Comes Marching Home? Barbara?
You played the auto harp.
With auto harp, good. Remember how many other ways we added the harmony today. What was one way? Danny?
Well, on Sarasvana we sing Descant by singing Boom Da Boom Da.
Singing a descant of boom da, boom da, boom da. Very good. Remember how some of you sang boom da, boom da, boom da, boom, while the rest of you sang Sarasvana, 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 ret-tet-tet. Sarasvana, 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 ret-tet-tet. What was another way we added harmony? Christine?
We sang notes in thirds in Sarasvana.
Good, Christine. Remember, a third sounds like this. The second part of Sarasvanda had mostly harmony in thirds. Let's finish our lesson by singing When Johnny Comes Marching Home. And this time we'll add bells, auto harp, and rhythm instruments.
When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah, we'll give him a hearty welcome then, hurrah, hurrah. The men will cheer, the boys will shout, the ladies say, we'll go tonight, we'll all sail away when Johnny comes marching home.
Jimmy wants to be a scientist someday, and he likes to go exploring. Along the shores of the lake where he lives, he collects stones as a hobby. Strangest of all are small stone discs which have a hole through the center. Jimmy has learned that these discs were once the stem-like part of a simple animal that lived in an ancient sea millions of years ago. Resembling a flower, this animal was one of many forms of prehistoric life. Scientists can show us what these forms looked like from evidence they have found. For instance, this prehistoric kind of crustacean is called a trilobite. Geologists have found the remains of this ancient type of animal in the form of stone casts, which are one type of fossil. Fossils are part of the prehistoric evidence that has helped geologists reconstruct prehistoric times. From their studies of other kinds of evidence in the Earth's crust, many scientists estimate that the Earth is 2 or more billion years old. This time of about 2 billion years, scientists have divided into 5 great periods of time called geologic eras. During the first billion years, the Archaeozoic era, continents and seas were forming. In the next half-billion years, the Proterozoic era, simple forms of plants and animals appeared in the seas. The Paleozoic era of 300 million years was an age of underwater animals, including fishes. Then came the Mesozoic era, 125 million years, during which reptiles dominated the Earth. Today, we live in the Cenozoic era, which began 60 million years ago. During this time, appeared mammals, including man. Let's begin with the Archaeozoic era, about 2 billion years ago. During the first billion years, continents and seas were forming, and since that time, the Earth has been continually changing. There were periods when mountains were built up from the seas by volcanic action. Sometimes whole mountain ranges were built by volcanic action and by other slower forces, some of which pushed up rocks into great mountain folds. On the other hand, forces of erosion, such as running water, wind, rain, and ice, were wearing down the mountains and other high regions. The process of erosion is slow. The land wears away bit by bit. This process of building up and wearing down has been a continuous process. Even the oceans were changed in size and shape. Scientists think that during the latter part of the Archaeozoic era, in the warm seawater that covered much of the land, living matter appeared. Many scientists believe these earliest forms of life were tiny one-celled plants and animals, something like the one-celled amoeba. The long billion-year Archaeozoic era gave way to the Proterozoic era. During this time, there is evidence that there were more complicated forms of plants and animals, probably similar to the tiny crustaceans and simple green algae we know today. Following the half-billion years of the Proterozoic era came Paleozoic times. At the start of this 300 million year era, there is no evidence of life on the land. But beneath the surface of the warm seas, the waters were teeming with prehistoric plants and animals. Among the early Paleozoic animals were the corals. Like corals of our seas today, they built hard external skeletons. Some of them lived in colonies. Among other forms of life in these ancient coral reefs were animals called cephalopods. Some of them attained a length of 50 feet and were masters of the seas. The prehistoric cephalopods were related to the octopus of present-day times. The octopus has no backbone and no outside shell. However, during Paleozoic times, many cephalopods lived in elaborate shells. Important animals in the seas of mid-Paleozoic times were the fishes. Fish are vertebrates, animals with backbones. Among the early fishes was the lungfish. This present-day lungfish occasionally comes up to breathe air, just as these prehistoric lungfish did. More suited to life on the land were air-breathing amphibians. Living both in the water and on the land, the amphibians were part of the world of plants and insects of Paleozoic times. Dense forests of ferns and other kinds of plants grew in the warm, moist climate. It is from the trees and other plants of these Paleozoic forests that we get much of the coal we use today. The forests grew in great swampy lowlands, and when the trees died, they fell into the water and were covered with mud. With the passing of millions of years, they were changed into the coal we find today. So this period of large coal forests is called the Coal Age. By the end of the Coal Age, air-breathing lizards had appeared. With the coming of these reptiles, the long Paleozoic era was drawing to a close. The next era, the Mesozoic, is often called the Age of Reptiles. It was a time of tremendous volcanic eruptions. Of all the life on the land, the lizards were among the animals that survived the violent upheavals. Gradually, gigantic reptiles came to dominate the Earth in the Mesozoic era, the Age of Reptiles. We call them dinosaurs, the Latin word for terrible lizard. This one had thick armor-like plates along its back and was about the size of an elephant. Such huge plant-eating dinosaurs were often attacked by vicious flesh-eating reptiles. But the fierce dinosaurs were not the only reptiles on the Earth. Reptiles with great webbed wings, related to prehistoric birds, were also part of the Mesozoic era. Once again, changes in the Earth's surface brought this period to a close. With the Cenozoic era came the Age of Mammals. Among the earliest mammals were some simple types, not too different from the hedgehogs of our present day. This sloth was one of the common types of prehistoric mammals. Among the largest mammals of Cenozoic times were the mastodons, whose bones we still find in many parts of the Earth. These great elephant-like animals were among those that lived during the severe climatic changes that happened during the Ice Age, which began about 1 million years ago. There were times when large portions of the Earth were completely covered with glacial ice and snow. Living on the tundra near the edge of the ice fields were the woolly rhinoceros and the huge mammoths. The great shaggy mammoths belonged to the elephant family. They were related to the elephants on the Earth today. In the same way, the horses that we know today can be traced to their prehistoric ancestors, small horses that roamed the Earth millions of years ago. The story of the horse and other mammals is only part of the evidence of prehistoric life that scientists are continually finding. Scientists estimate the age of the Earth at some 2 billion years or more. The first great era is called Archaeozoic, the time of the formation of the Earth's crust. In the next era, the Proterozoic, the waters of the Earth contained simple forms of plants and animals. During the Paleozoic era, animals without backbones were most important. About the middle of this time, fish with backbones became abundant. And near the end of the era, air-breathing amphibians and lizards appeared. Giant reptiles called dinosaurs came to dominate the Earth during the Mesozoic era, sometimes called the Age of Reptiles. And in the most recent era, the Cenozoic, mammals appeared on the Earth. It was toward the end of this era, during one of the warmer stages of the Ice Age, that man, the most highly developed mammal, appeared. The story of prehistoric man is the last chapter in the long record of prehistoric times.